Hello, yeah, good morning, India. Good evening, good afternoon in somewhere. Good evening in California, and sleepy time in East Coast. Welcome to you all. This is a MedBix webcast. My name is Ramana Anamaraju. No, I'm not Albert Einstein, but I'm pretty good. so, so, so we have a, I don't bring guests on, only I bring guests on Wednesdays and Thursdays, but today I didn't, there are no guests usually. But I want to talk with you about this particular thing, and then I will get into the subject of precision medicine. Our media channel is healthcare, new kind of healthcare media channel. I wanted to create an interdisciplinary understanding between the medicine, science, technology, arts, philosophy, all of them. There is an intersection. That is where we need. That is called systems engineering. Then I tell you something interesting today. What happened in NASA? That we impacted 7 million miles away. The spacecraft, actually probe, hit the asteroid. This asteroid is 7 million miles away. Think about that. With a precision, it is a 2 mile radius. It's a 1.5 mile radius. The asteroid is. It hit with the precision. So think about the ingenuity of the NASA. If we use that kind of a precision medicine, we use that. We're going to talk about that in healthcare. We can solve a lot of problems. You know, uh, that is that is one of the NASA is the best of America. You know, 7 million miles away, it hit with a precision, unbelievable precision. It just launched before hitting the launch, and it shows that asteroid. People think asteroid has carried water, carried life. So we don't know what is asteroid. So what they're trying to do is that they deflect the asteroid. In the future, if the asteroid is going to hit that size, our the life, as you know, is going to be end. So what they do is that they simply push it. They don't destroy it. They push it, tug it to different direction. So that's what they're looking at it. How they do that once they master the. Think about this, guys, ladies and gentlemen. This is a 500 years ago. Newton wrote the laws for this asteroid. Newton's wrote the what are the things that you need to reach the asteroid. He wrote the equations. The Newtonian laws work perfectly well. Think about that. 400 years ago, he thought in his mind these laws. So we have to come up with that kind of understanding in healthcare. 500 years ago, he judged the equations of the health of the Newtonian equations. They perfectly fit, and then execute with we have a state of the art technology. But the science behind is 500 years old. The nature around us, he understood. That is what healthcare needs to understand. The nature around us, how it interacts with us. That is one area of healthcare is missing. We understand that. I think we can solve the problems of healthcare. We spend a lot more money than on that spacecraft. We can use that kind of a precision medicine. That is, I'm going to talk about it with a passion. You know, all those days they didn't go to, they didn't have PhDs. They don't have computers. And 500 years ago, simply mind, a passion for to work on that. That's what the Newton did. Leibniz, Newton, Albert Einstein. These are all passionate people. So we have to the if you understand the nature around us, we understand the healthcare. That is what my kind of a passion that I'm trying to express here. But so as I mentioned, we're going to talk about today the precision medicine. I know Kristine Ashcraft. We spoke with her, and then I'm going to do that. But before that, she is actually appearing. Kristine Ashcraft is a friend, and she is a pioneer in precision medicine and pharmacogenomics. I used to work in that area. Actually, we used to do. Plavix, 2CYP19 gene. Particularly for Indians, there is a gene absence of gene 2CYP19 is a gene you can bleed to death. Actually, you can bleed, ultra bleeders they call. So so people can die on the surgical tables because of that gene absence of that gene. So or the overacting gene. So pharmacogenomics can give you the genetic precision is the right direction towards the precision medicine. Precision medicine is not just that genetic data. It is a lot more than is social determinants and other cultural other aspects of the healthcare affecting the healthcare system. But she is appearing along with Obama in San Diego in conference with along with a distinguished guest, Bill Gates, Eric Topol, and the Secretary of Health. They're all appearing there in San Diego. The Kristine Ashcraft will be talking there. So anyway, that there is another lady. She's from my. I am from. I went to school. I did a physics in a small town. It's not a big town now. It's a big town. It's called Voltaire, Vijag. My oldest brother went to school there. Engineering. I did a science. So, so the it is called Andhra University. Her father is a doctor from there in that town and came to the United States as in Pennsylvania. The Sonia Vallabh. I'm going to talk about her story a little bit. That's a mysterious disease. That's what that is talking about. Let me talk about the Sonia Vallabh story. Then um, after that, we'll show you the interview with the Christine Ashcraft. So, what is the precision medicine is people think is all genetic data, genetic coding, but it's a lot more than that. I'm going to explain that you one of the mysterious cases that you see. So that's a Dr. Vallabh is from Vijag, India. He went to England and then came to United States. That is in the middle is Sonia Vallabh. Her mother is Kamini Vallabh. Is from I met her parents during my interaction with the all the doctors, Indian doctors during the time early days of this immigration. I used to interact with a lot of them. So her mother is a Kamini. Her name is Kamini Vallabh, and last name is Challa. She is from Vijag, India. She was most likely was born here, okay, or England. I don't know exactly, place of birth, but they moved here a long time ago. So all of a sudden, Kamini Vallabh, she got a strange that she got married, Sonia Vallabh, and then right after their marriage, within a month, that is a wedding picture of the Indian wedding. It's all, that my daughter is getting married soon. That's what she said. So I hope. So Indian weddings are, very nice, and the parents enjoy a lot more. So, like any other weddings, in fact, yeah, but it's more colorful. Um, Kamini Vallabh, they did. She arranged all the wedding and everything, but within a month of that, she got a strange disease, a rare hereditary disorder causing difficulty in sleeping, fatal insomnia. She could not sleep. She cannot get sleep. So she's like a zombie state. Unfortunate. Sorry to say that about her. But she went through probably it is kind of a horrible situation without sleep. If you go for 3 months, think about it. You go for 4 days, you think you know what is the effects of it. So she went for a few months. After that, she died. Unfortunately, she died. They didn't know what is causing this problem. They couldn't understand why they did all the tests. Nothing showed wrong. It's a mysterious. So so that is a bigger problem. So what they did was they did a testing, a genetic testing. It's not genetic. It is actually autopsy. He found out it's a prion disease. It's called a strange, very strange disease. It's a prion. I'm going to explain you why it is strange. These are the prion is the proteins are the serial killers of the brain. These are the serial killers of the brain, basically. So they they slowly destroy the brain. They make them zombies. That's what they do. A zombie state. So prion is a protein. It does that. So how do they know? What they did was when you do autopsy and take the usually all the infections caused by either bacteria, viruses, foreign bacteria, foreign viruses. When they took the autopsy and then you draw the infectious material, what they found is there is nothing is bad. There is no bacteria. There is no virus. There is no foreign bodies. Only infectious proteins are there. That's it. That is surprising a lot of scientists. Why? Why it is? Why it is? Um, um, why it is? I don't know why. Yeah. Okay. Why? God, sorry that. Let me. Okay. I hope I. Okay. So most of the diseases are genetic. Most of the people think the hereditary disorders are genetic disorders. Bacteria, virus that's causing the foreign materials, causing the infections, and then. But in this case, they didn't find any bacteria, viruses, infections there. All basically all proteins. What is protein is doing? Is causing the disease. That is a very strange. It defies science actually, in that sense. So they couldn't understand it. So what they did was, yeah, somebody. So maybe I'm talk. Am I wrong? Somebody can correct me. I'm not a. The reason I tell you why I'm presenting this one is that there is a reason. It's a physics involved. That's why I'm talking about it. It is. I'm not a doctor. I'm not presenting to be a doctor. I'm not. So, but there is something that I wanted to mention. The non-physician should know about this prion disease. So the genetic disorders is not a genetic. It is something in proteins. A strange thing is happening in the proteins. What they found out. So prion disease is very strange. Is caused by proteins. How does it happen? Protein folding, as you know, I spoke about protein folding in my shows several times. Protein amino acids in the linear side, they get together straight line, almost linear way, and they become a three-dimensional structure. Folding, the folds, and then proteins are the essential workers of the body. They are the they are coolies of the our body. They run around and they do the work. That's what they do. They're essential workers. They're life blood for us. So proteins are extremely important. But the way they folded, it depends on their folding. Their function is defined. So, that is usually happens. The folding goes sometimes can go wrong. Then when it goes wrong, that is what protein folding can go wrong. That's messed up. Protein is going to be messed up. The protein folding. That is normal. Happens. Protein folding is a chaotic assembly. So it's not a perfect order. It is basically chaos there, but it folds, and it folds. It eventually makes it right protein. But the problem with that is this is I'm going to talk about this protein does something strange. So the proteins in the brain, normal conforming normal shape of the protein. The bad protein is basically a protein, a prion conformation is messed up. Prion is a messed up protein. It sometimes it goes to the brain and affects the it passes through body brain barrier and and it affects the brain neurons. That conformation that you see in the circle. So these are evil essential workers. I will explain to you much more analogy. If you go to a restaurant, the waiter gets pissed off and puts a spit on your food and give it to you. that is that is what it can happen, right? So in this one is more fatal. It's a more evil. This is a they do these proteins basically does that kind of thing. It does. It spits it out. It just mess it up the good protein in the brain. It happens in the very strange way, but but the confirmation that conforming this is very interesting. So not only the evil essential workers, suppose that bad waiter, not only he does bad things, that's okay. One person does bad thing, you don't get the rest of the people are okay. You got the spit out food, but he tells other waiters to do the same thing. That's like a messing up other people. That's what this protein, prion protein, does. It goes to the brain and tells and messes up all the other proteins, all the other neuron cells, and it destroys the structures of all of them. That's what the Alzheimer's, all the other strange diseases come out. This is a Lamarckian. It is basically it's not an evolutionary aspect. It is learning by exposing itself. What it does is at the wrong place, wrong time. You went to the wrong restaurant, wrong place. That's what happens. They went. This is a where you end up in the lymph nodes. Sometimes the prions, and then end up in the cross. They cross the barrier and affects the neuron cells. Wrong place, wrong time. That is strange about these prions. Prion disease is very strange. It's a protein folding missteps. This is hereditary. There's a strange thing about this protein folding. It causes infections. It manifests into infections. That is never understood that part. They never thought a protein is causing the infections, all the bacteria, viruses. But here, a messed up protein is causing the disease. Not only it messed up one protein, it messing up everything. How do you detect it? There's no way. It is not easy to detect the prions. You have to do autopsy, and they see the sample on the electron microscope. That's the only way you can find out. The NIH came up with a new blood test. I understand. I don't know much about it. You can ask the doctors on Wednesday and Thursday. I don't know much about it, but the reason I was talking about is this protein misfolding it is three ways it happens. It's infectious, of course. Protein manifests into infection. It's a hereditary. It's not a genetic. It's not a gene. It is a protein in hereditary happening, along with the genes inside. Of course, the proteins hereditary is a protein hereditary that is very strange. Prion disease is very strange in that direction. Then, on top of that, it's a more stranger. It's spontaneous. What is spontaneous? So I told you that is in the wrong place, wrong time. Happens spontaneously. It becomes a bad. That manifests into. So it's autonomous driving. 1% is that complexity comes. It's a very rare. It's extremely rare. That's spontaneous, but actually hereditary is rare. Spontaneous is more quite often. It happens more often than anything else in the spontaneous thing. So we are still prion disease is still not understood well. My understanding is so it is hereditary. So protein folding, that thing they can pass to the children. They can pass to grandchildren. Generally, the family curse. So it has a strange kind of disease. It's not a one disease. It manifests into several diseases. One of them is, few of them are. I'm going to mention that. So the three ways it heredity passed to from parents to children. Spontaneous. You don't need to do anything. You just one night in the bed, the wrong place, wrong time. Prions in the lymph nodes can go into the brain barrier. That's what it does. It messes it up the entire system. So these are what are the diseases? The one that unfortunately Sonia's mother died with a fatal insomnia, could not able to sleep. There is another disease called Kuru, fatal laughing disease, uncontrollable laugh they have when you. So this is actually this disease comes through. Sorry, if you're eating dinner, stop it. I'm going to say that it is cannibalism. They eat in a particular in New Guinea. They eat people who are dead. They wanted to embody their spirits. They eat their they cook them and eat them, particularly their brains. When they eat that brains, the prions, the messed up prions, pass to them. That's what they get the disease. Once they found out. Think about what the wonderful investigation in medicine did. It's called Kuru, fatal disease. It's a fatal laughing disease. So as everybody knows, mad cow disease, it can pass to humans. It's a big barrier, but it can pass to the humans. It did pass to some humans. So why I'm talking about, I'm not a doctor, why I'm talking about this? It is actually protein problem, protein folding problem is a protein folding disorder. Protein folding disorder is computational challenge. So it's a computational challenge. Google DeepMind solved it. That's what they claimed, at least we don't know yet. And they're saying that they solved the protein folding problem. What it does, what is the best of the what is the benefit of that? You can find the drugs, precision drugs, a targeted drug, everything you can find it. So by DeepMind, the folding, if you understand the folding problem, we can create a molecules that attack, activate or deactivate the proteins, these prions. So that's what we need. We need quantum computer definitely does that. We are on the quantum computer is the next big thing that can solve this problem, protein folding, and we can solve a lot of problems of the cancer and other fatal diseases. All the mechanisms we'll find out. So Google DeepMind claimed that they for solved the protein problem, protein folding problem. Protein folding problem is computational challenge because when I was talking about Srinivasa Ramanujan, I talked about how many ways 20 amino acids, 20 to the power of 100. It is just an unfathomable number. You can give a name to everything in 20 to the power of 100. You can give um, every atom in Earth on the planet Earth. Still, you will be left over the numbers. So we don't understand the complexity of the numbers there. 20 to the power of 100, 20 amino acids, the life diversity. You can understand why. So these are computationally challenging the protein folds. Like a crumpling. When you take a piece of paper and crumple it, that's a very big mathematical problem. Protein folding. It is number of ways it can fold it. It is challenging and it is mind-boggling. So Sonia Vallabh, unfortunately, she was also inherited. She has inherited that 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 gene, that protein. Usually, it comes at the age of 50. Once the onset starts, it can be dormant for a long time. Once it starts the process, within months they die. Is that bad? But Sonia is a challenging woman. She she and her husband together, they started this. They started Broad Medical Institute. What they did was her husband and her. They are not even a science background in the beginning. They started the lab. They got the funding. They're reading. They're studying about prion disease. She has a PhD, but it's not a science background. She did everything. She learned it, and she's not a medical doctor, but her passion started the solve the problem, solving the problem. She came a long way. She got a lot of funding, prion disease, single-handedly. She's doing it with her husband. That is right there on the right side. Broad Institute. It is. We wish all the best for her. It is tough situation that what you see, but that is the story of the prion disease. Is a protein folding disorder. Is a people pass through genes, but here is a protein is acting up. So humans, we need to learn a lot more about this protein disorder, protein folding disorder. Then we can solve a lot of problems in our bodies. That's what it. So if I this is the precision medicine is a part of the precision medicine. That's the conference Obama and Kristine Ashcraft is going. So me and myself and Roger Royce, attorney from Silicon Valley, interviewed um, um, Kristine Ashcraft. She is the head of the she was UScript. She was a CEO there, and then she moved to San Francisco. Inveti is another Invati. She's a company. She's the head of the medical affairs there. So listen to her, please. And I'm going to. Hello, this is Ramana Raju, organizer for the Healthcare Transformations Meetup. Genes have a profound influence on our body with the medications we take. It is a branch of medicine called pharmacogenetics. Here is our moderator, Roger Royce, to introduce the next speaker.
Kristine Ashcraft is our next speaker. She's a molecular biologist by training and head of, I don't know if I can say this right, Pharmacogenomics at Invitae. She serves on the STRIPE Steering Committee, FDA Collaborative Community for Pharmacogenomics, and was the chief executive officer of UScript prior to its acquisition. She's been in precision medicine since 2000 and is named one of the 25 leading global voices in the space. Author of many publications, been quoted by numerous media outlets, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, NBC Nightly News, and many precision medicine conferences. So thank you, Kristine, for being here. And I guess you were going to talk to us about opportunities in precision medicine for entrepreneurs.
I sure am, and thank you so much for having me. Let me share these slides here. One moment. So as Roger just mentioned, I have been in precision medicine, specifically pharmacogenomics, a little over 20 years now. And I'm going to share a little bit about my journey, and then also the opportunities I think that's opening up in the space. So I started my journey in pharmacogenomics, PGX for short, for other people that stumble over that long and unwieldy word. It essentially just means using genetic information to make sure that people are getting drugs and doses that are optimized according to their genetics. But started that journey, I originally started my career at a laboratory that was founded in 1987 as one of the first crime labs in the country with a National Institute of Justice grant. And when I joined in 2000, they were looking for something that leveraged their core competency in providing really high quality genetic testing. And way back in 2000, there was an article in Fortune magazine about a little boy named Michael who had died of an overdose because he had an easily testable genetic variation that, in concert with his other medications, led to toxic levels of Prozac in his system. Unfortunately, the levels were so high, his foster parents were initially suspected of intentionally overdosing him. And thankfully, a smart pharmacist and physician heard about this story and thought he might have a pharmacogenetic variation, tested him postmortem, and found out that he did. The article talked about the dawning of the age of precision medicine, when we would use genetic information to make sure we were giving people the safest and most effective drugs and doses that the evidence allowed for. And so started as one of the first accredited labs in the United States to provide this testing. And I had a pretty unique opportunity over the years, I think, to speak with literally thousands of physicians, pharmacists, patients, payers, about widespread barriers to adoption of the technology that likely could have saved Michael's life. And there was a very common theme to the questions we would get. How do I know which patients to test? Who would benefit from this? How do I know how to act on that in the context of other things that are going to impact medication response? And where are the studies validating that this actually improves outcomes? So I spent my career really investing in answering those questions. We were very lucky early on to stumble across a software program that was originally developed by a couple of frustrated psychiatrists that ran into drug interactions in their practice that existing drug interaction tools did a really poor job of warning them about. And so they actually curated the literature to understand the biological reason for a lot of these interactions. And because of the way they had created this software, we were able to upgrade it to take genetic variability into account, and started offering that software in a web-based format to the physicians and pharmacists that were utilizing our testing for their patients. And next thing they said was, hey, that's really nice, love this software tool, but you need to put it in the clinical workflow. You need to put it in my electronic health record, or I'm just not going to use it very often. So way back in 2013, we entered and won the Allscripts Open App Challenge at HIMSS Health 2.0. We slammed that genetic information into the disease list, the problem list in the EHR, and started triggering clinical decision support. Invested in some studies, and then realized to really help precision medicine scale, we had to focus on enterprise integration and deployment. So spun that software out, got it into Epic, got it into Cerner, invested in some studies, and now both that laboratory and UScript are now under the Invitae umbrella. I know that's a long story, but I bring it up because I think there are lessons learned that we can take beyond my 20 plus years in pharmacogenomics. So what lessons can we take forward? As Naveen aptly put, there are a lot of things going on in genomics, and genomics is not a sentence, so to speak. Just because you have certain genetic variations doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily have a problem. The application of genetic information is really so that you can face your risk empowered. So you may have genetic markers that dramatically increase your risk of getting cancer, for example. But that means that you would just monitor more often. So if you do develop cancer, you can catch it early before more invasive treatment is required. So pharmacogenomics, my area of specialty and focus, is really a domain where I think pharmacists have the biggest ability to improve patient care and optimize therapy. A lot of times people talk about genetics and this impact being small. Pharmacogenomics is one of the areas in which virtually everyone has a gene variation, which will cause them to have an atypical response to at least one medication. Most patients will have a genetic atypical response to 12 or more medications. And at any given time, about 5% of patients are at incredibly high risk of having an adverse drug event that's genetically based. Disease risk, about 1 in 6 patients have actionable variants. So again, this does not mean that you're necessarily going to develop a genetic disease. It just means that you have a risk profile that enables you to manage that better. Oftentimes, this type of testing is recommended and ordered by genetic counselors, although we're starting to see that a lot more proactively as well. Somatic cancer, 1 in 3 patients will develop cancer. So we both have tumor profiling now, as well as circulating tumor DNA. So you can actually monitor patients to see if the cancer is recurring or starting to increase in their system. And that's just the very top of the pyramid. I think there are a ton of other things. Naveen just did a great overview of the microbiome. There's metabolomics, proteomics. But really, as we move from this kind of one-size-fits-all thought process, here is the food we will give to everybody, or here's the medicine we will give to everybody. We're moving to more individualized care and individualized therapy. And so it opens up a lot of opportunities, I think, in this healthcare ecosystem. So if you are an entrepreneur or considering being an entrepreneur, think about the data opportunities that opens up. I know that the first speaker was talking about all of the data that we can learn from in India. And so what is the individualized impact and how can we assist with that? I have focused on clinical decision support tools. Naveen also spoke of some individualized therapies they're partnering with pharma on. There's improved R&D models. And then how do you monetize that? You have to think about the business model that makes the most sense for this foray into precision medicine. There's value-based reimbursement, monetizing the data, selling directly to patients, a lot of different opportunities that are opening up as precision medicine moves from this kind of future state, oh, this is on its way, to no, it's actually right here, and there's a huge amount of opportunity. But I think that the main premise too is that we're moving from a time where it cost quite a bit of money. So I said I've been in pharmacogenomics specifically for over 20 years. When we first started offering pharmacogenetic testing, it was almost $1,000 just to look at 3 genes that impacted like medication response. We can now do a 25 gene panel for $250 or less, especially at scale. And we're getting very quickly to a point where we would do whole genome sequencing that didn't just look at the pharmacogenomics, but also all of these different potential genetic risks that we can manage if we have them. People are likely familiar with Moore's Law. The processing power of computers continues to increase and the cost goes down. Well, human genome costs are outperforming Moore's Law. So it can flag patients for appropriate intervention at both the patient and population level. So just a case in point at Pharmacogenomics, about 1.5 years ago, we received a patent on a pharmacogenetic interaction probability score, or PIP for short. So based on the medications a patient is taking, I can say, hey, there is an 80% probability if we test this patient, we will be recommending at least one evidence-based drug or dose change guidances to their doctor when those results come back. And so it's a way to appropriately push clinicians to order tests that are needed.
My question to you is, the biggest prohibitive factor is the genetic testing, access to genetic testing. As I know, I used to do that. I used to provide this genetic testing to the doctor's offices. So one of the things is that particularly India and Chinese, Asians in general, have an absence of gene that we are more prone to bleed. That's most of the cases who die in the exam table, on the surgical table, are people who
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.